Okay, everybody, let's recap the lesson. Today, lesson 42, what we're talking about is combining functions. So the book puts it in really confusing ways, but let's see if we can make sense of it. So I've got a function, f of x equals x plus 1, and a function, g of x equals x squared plus 1. Okay, this basically says to add those functions. So I'm going to add x plus 1 plus x squared minus 1. So I just combine it, I get an x squared plus an x, and then these cancel, okay? Same thing, this says take f of x and subtract from g of x. So I took f of x, subtract from g of x. Got to be careful of my double negatives, but I do get a negative x squared, positive x, and then I get a positive 1, so I get a 2. So I just subtract them. Third thing, that's multiply, so I'm going to multiply f of x times g of x, and I just FOILed it out. X cubed, I got a negative 1x, positive 1x squared, and a negative 1, okay? This is divide f of x by g of x. So I took f of x divided by g of x, but what I noticed on this one is I can simplify this more. So I factored it, x plus 1, x minus 1. X plus 1's cancel, I'm left with 1 over x minus 1, okay? I did put my little exceptions here where x cannot equal plus or minus 1. Okay, example 2, if you don't have the equations, you can still do a lot with the graph. So completely different problem. So what happens if all you're given this graph? So first thing, I said, what's f of 2? Well, it's the y value because fx equals y. So I go to 2, and the answer is 3. G of 2, here's my g of x. I go to 2, and what's the corresponding y value? Negative 1. This one's different. We're not going to plug in 0. We're going to say, where is f of x equals 0? Or where is its y value equals 0? Well, it doesn't have a y value equals 0. It never happens, so we'll say no solution. Okay, this one says f of f plus g of 2. What it really means is f of 2 plus g of 2. Well, luckily we did that. f2 is 3. G of 2 was negative 1. So we added them, okay? Now, this took a while, and we did this last one on the board together, but to add the two graphs, we're adding their y values. Well, point by point because of x. So we did. First of all, at, for instance, x equals 3. This one's at a height of negative 1, g of negative 3, that's a height of negative 2. So we added the two heights, and positive 1, sorry. 1 minus 2 gives me a negative 1. So at negative 3, we got a height of negative 1. At x is 2, got a height of 1. Height of negative 1, we added 2, we got a height of 0. At negative 1, we got a height of 1, and at negative 1, we got a height of 0. So 1 plus 0 is 1. At 0, we have a height of 0, height of negative 1, so we add the 2, we get a height of 1 plus negative 1 is a height of 0. At 1, we get a height of 2. At 1, we got a height of negative 1. We add the two heights, and we get a positive 1. At 2, we got a height of 3. We have a height of negative 1. If we add the two heights, we get a height of 1. And then at 3, we get a height of 2.5, a height of 0, which is going to be 2.5. And finally, at 4, we get a height of 2, and a height of negative 1. If we add the heights, we get a height of 3. Okay, so there it is. And that was a little bit difficult, but we worked on it. Evelyn, I'm almost done. Okay, now, composite functions, what we do is this. We plug them in. So I took g of x. I'm going to plug g of x into f of x. Or I take f of x and plug it in. Plug the whole thing. So we want f of g of x, which is the same of f of g of x. I take g of x, which is all of this, and plug it into f of x. Okay, so if I plug it in, my square root of x squared goes in for x. I get 1 over square root of x squared minus 2 squared, which is just 1 over x minus 2. Okay, the other one is f of x. So we take f of x, which is this equation, we plug it into x. So you plug the 1 over x squared in for x, and I get a square root of 1 over x squared minus 2. It doesn't simplify. This is actually easier. Plug 6 into g. Okay, I can do that. Plug 6 into g, and then take that answer, put it into f. So put 6 into g right there. 6 minus 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. And took 2 and I plugged it into f. Put 2 and plugged it into f. 1 over 2 squared is 1/4. The last one finally is take 1 and plug 1 into f. So I plugged 1 into f So I got 1 over 1, which is 1. And take that answer, plug it into G. Plug that 1 into G, which is there. And I got the square root of 1 minus 2, which is the square root of negative 1, which is I. Okay, that's all I have. If you have any questions, come see me. There you go. Got it done.